Suddenly, Isaac was filled with a faint sadness. Camus sat there, a little indignant. What the hell are we looking for while the others are resting? You're afraid our teammates will kill Madame's friends, so you're doing this, right? Even so, they are monsters living in nature, so they know how to survive on their own. Since when did you become merciful to monsters like that? Isaac immediately changed the subject. You're so noisy. Just do as I say. Camus angrily shouted. I'm afraid you're overworking yourself, so I followed you here. Honestly, it's a good thing the ice dragon has disappeared. Otherwise the whole kingdom would be in chaos trying to catch it alive. They'd probably use the excuse of putting it in a sword-fighting event. There were days when they crawled out and attacked people's homes. It would be difficult to avoid subjugating them. Come to think of it, Camus continued, are you really going to participate in the sword fight? Isaac was surprised. Why? Are you afraid I'll win? Camus immediately denied it. Messing everything up just because you don't intend to kill the monsters? Then it's strange that you'd participate in the match to eradicate them. I'm also worried about that. Just then, Gaia appeared. What if the Duchess understands the language of the monsters but you hurt them? Will that be okay? And what if they see the Duchess? What if something unexpected happens? Isaac answered without hesitation. Then I'll have to participate. What's the current relationship between Ruby and the monsters? It can't be that all monsters react to Ruby. Even so, Cardinal Valentino has come to preside, so Ruby cannot be removed from the stands for that reason. Isaac began to swing his sword resolutely. Before they start causing trouble, I will be the only one to kill them without pain. Suddenly, Camus asked, What if you lose? Isaac affirmed, I will win gloriously and bring honor to you. Don't I have a reason to do as I please? That's all for today. At this time, both Gaia and Camus felt very bored. Back in her room, a servant offered soup. Please eat something, madam. You didn't have dinner and just sat blankly in your room. Ellen had brought food to her room, but Ruby sighed. I just need to throw it up. Let's eat first. Perhaps because she had suffered so much, Ruby added, I don't even think about resenting Freya anymore. I can't compare to Freya at all. No matter what I say, they all choose her in the end. The main character is not me, but Freya. Perhaps Isaac feels the same. Even though I know it better than anyone, my heart still aches. I shouldn't have had the illusion that I could live in harmony with this place. After that, Ruby called for Rona and Lucille. Both of you, go rest. Today I want to be alone to reflect a bit. They couldn't help but worry. Madam, then let us prepare a bath for you. Ruby suddenly became dejected and said, I'll prepare it myself. Rona and Lucille were both bewildered and confused, but they had to obey Madam's words. Yes, we understand. After that, Ruby went outside to get some fresh air, her mind still absent. Suddenly, Ruby felt uncomfortable. It's been a long time since I vomited, so it's burning inside. I've been holding back lately. Suddenly, Ruby spotted the river. I also wanted to try boating with Ellen here. How will she look at me after this? Will she regret getting close to me? Ellen and Ivan too. We've become closer. I've grasped a precious existence so that I can live well. I thought so. I'm so pathetic. What did I believe in the end? Did I expect too much? Remembering Freya's words, losing your mind just because of your first love, Ruby couldn't help but wonder. Ruby suddenly felt something was wrong. It was just a brief moment, but she knew. I know those sweet memories with Isaac, even so. If she tried her best to reflect on herself, would they be lenient with her? Would they still care for her, even if their feelings had faded? At that moment, the head maid appeared. Madame, so, you're here? Ruby glanced up to see who was talking to her. I came to confirm whether Madame has finished her meal, as per my lady's orders. Ruby thought to herself, did they go through Ronan Russell to check on me? The maid continued, I will make clear everything that needs to be said regarding Madame's despicable actions. I've taken care of Madame since she was a child, and she confides in me the secrets she can't share with others. Maddie had hoped that I would change my mind about Madame, as she said from the beginning. I knew at this point, Ruby thought. It seems Ellen has talked about my eating disorder to her. This head maid, more important to rely on than Ruby's own mother, seemed to have no bad intentions toward her. As long as she doesn't tell Isaac, I don't care. But this head maid has a completely different perspective from Ellen. It seems she's gradually accepting me. You must have heard about Maddie's deceased mother, the head maid said. Our Maddie suffered greatly because of her. Even if she died and came back to life, she wouldn't be able to understand. As she spoke, the head maid clenched her hand and said in a stern voice, I can't just stand by and watch Maidie go through the same suffering as she did before, Ruby thought, until now the closest servant to her. I think she truly feels sorry for her. How close do you have to be to Ellen to react like this? The head maid continued. Madam, not only do you have the strange habits of Maidie's mother, but you also cause her trouble in the same way. The masters of this castle, I still suspect whether it's because of a curse or not, so until the day Madam leaves... Hearing this, Ruby stood up and asked, Leave where? Shouldn't Madam know that better than anyone? Madam should be the one to leave this castle at any time. However, Ruby affirmed, No, I won't leave this place, even if I die. The head maid slowly approached with a smug look. As expected, first love is like a sweet dream. I understand that Madam is very emotional, but sooner or later Madam will realize that every person in this world has a suitable place. That's so-called first love. Why do people keep doing as they please? Or do you feel anxious because you can't convince me? Isn't it ultimately your desire for me to quickly disappear from this place? I'm just choosing this place to survive by any means. What's wrong? Do you feel restless because you can't chew and swallow me? The head maid sneered again. I say this only for Madam's good. It's a pity. Meanwhile, Ruby's anger had reached its peak. Without warning, she swung her hand and slapped the head maid hard across the face. The blow was so strong that it sent the maid's glasses flying to the ground. Ruby's eyes were as sharp as a sword, ready to cut down any words that offended her. Ellen walked alone down the empty hallway, still preoccupied with the things she had witnessed earlier, particularly Ruby's sobs when she had completely denied the accusations against her. Ellen sighed and let it go. At that moment, someone's sturdy figure approached. What are you doing out here in this cold? It was Isaac, who had come to ask about the tea party, but was ultimately trying to find Ruby's whereabouts. Ellen didn't want to answer. She avoided Isaac's gaze and stayed silent. Why are you making such an expression? Isaac asked. A few seconds later, Ellen spoke. Actually, earlier at the tea party, Freya and Ruby? Suddenly, the scene shifted. A vivid sound echoed in the garden as Marta's glasses flew straight into the grass. She held her swollen cheek in excruciating pain. What are you doing now? Ruby immediately retorted. What? Didn't you want me to be like this? So you were just pretending to be pitiful? You're finally showing your true colours, aren't you? Ruby snapped. Marta replied, If Madam is that kind of person. Ruby interrupted her, her voice loud and threatening. Then you should quickly go tell everyone, but even if you do, it won't change anything. There's one thing you shouldn't forget. You're just a maid. And I am the daughter of a pope. You should be grateful your tongue hasn't been cut out yet. I'm sparing you only because of Ellen. The venomous words quickly extinguished the hope in Marta's eyes. Fear flickered in them, like a lamb lost among a pack of grey wolves. The maid bowed her head bitterly and then stormed off in anger. From now on, their relationship would never be the same again. To Ruby, friendship had become a luxury, and she felt foolish for ever imagining it. Isaac rushed to Ruby's room, hoping to find her, but was met only by the maids cleaning the room. According to them, Ruby had gone for a walk and wasn't there. Where did she go? Isaac asked. In the greenhouse the Duke built, one maid began to answer, but before she could finish, Isaac had already left. That night, Isaac searched the entire palace, from the grounds to the flower garden. His figure looked pitiful as he anxiously searched. Suddenly, Isaac stopped and looked towards the deserted hall. Where are you, Ruby? I thought I could finally reach you, but I overestimated myself. I'm afraid you'll leave without saying goodbye. I was blinded by misunderstandings. I was afraid that I would do something wrong and make you leave. I'm so scared." From behind him, Isaac heard the sound of running water, as if coming from the artificial stream nearby. He quickly turned around. His eyes landed on the familiar hair of the girl he had once hurt. Isaac softly turned on his heel and approached Ruby without making a sound. His mood seemed lighter now. "What are you doing here?" he asked. Upon seeing him, Ruby's heart felt like it was shattering. After composing herself, she calmly asked, "Isaac, when did you return? Are you playing hide-and-seek? Oh, right, you found me. So where's my reward?" "Reward? What reward?" Isaac asked, feigning confusion. "I found you, didn't I? Where's my reward?" Ruby teased. Isaac reached out to her affectionately. She said that her reward was a kiss. Isaac smiled with satisfaction and leaned closer to her lips. "Then hurry up," he murmured. Ruby suddenly became shy, her cheeks flushing as if she had just met her first love. She hesitated, then tiptoed to give Isaac his reward. But something felt strange. Hasn't he heard anything yet, or is he testing me? Ruby began to ponder. Either way, if this is the last kiss, the distance between them suddenly felt odd. Isaac was startled as he looked at the girl he had just kissed. Ruby suddenly burst into tears. "Ruby, what's wrong?" Isaac asked, his voice filled with concern. "You came after hearing everything, didn't you?" "I know you won't believe me no matter what I say," Ruby sobbed. I really didn't do anything. But whether it was then or now, I really didn't do anything. I'm not lying." Isaac seemed bewildered by her words. "You must be very disappointed in me because of this," Ruby continued, tears streaming down her face. "It's all my fault." Isaac quickly said, "No, Ruby, first lift your head. Look at me." Ruby continued to sob. "I'm sorry for being so greedy. You said you didn't want to see me like this." Ruby froze at his words. She couldn't believe what Isaac had just said, and she shook her head repeatedly. "I always cause trouble everywhere. I'm afraid you can send me back." "What are you talking about?" Isaac asked, concerned. "You said you hated it and found it annoying, so I tried to avoid doing things you didn't like. It's all my fault." Isaac was visibly worried, comforting Ruby gently. "No, that's not it. Back then I thought it was best to send you back to Romania for your safety. The more I wanted you, the more attached you became to this place, so I thought if you returned to Romania, you'd be even more heartbroken. I said things that weren't true. It was my fault." Ruby looked at Isaac with disappointment in her eyes. "I know who's important to you, and you don't need to try to explain it to me. I'm really okay, so please, go find Miss Piranha." Isaac's heart twisted in pain, but he didn't say anything more. He gritted his teeth, then gently took Ruby's wrist as a gesture of comfort. "Ruby, listen to me," he said. "The person important to me at that time was you, not Piranha. The person I was truly worried about. No one else, it was you. If my blood had splattered on the rocks after I sent you away, the monsters would have swarmed in after smelling it. I was afraid you'd be in danger, so I acted first." Isaac's eyes showed clear sadness as he continued. "I know whatever I say will just sound like an excuse." He pulled Ruby into his arms, holding her tightly under the light of the crescent moon. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "Whatever the reason, I shouldn't have done that to you." Ruby cried even louder, clutching Isaac's coat tightly as if reproaching him. "You're not like that. I know you're really not like that. I know I really didn't do anything. Why does everyone just blame me?" She cried even harder while hitting Isaac. Isaac deeply understood the pain in Ruby's heart. In his gaze there was sincerity and warmth. The moment he faced the possibility of losing Ruby, Isaac felt a suffocating fear. "I'm the one who made you greedy," Isaac confessed. "The only existence in your heart." That night snow blanketed the ground and Isaac and Ruby sat together under the warm candlelight with tea and pastries. Ruby tasted the tea Isaac had made himself, then stared at him intently. Isaac, unsure of what Ruby wanted, asked, "Are you okay? I hit you pretty hard earlier. I think my actions weren't right." Isaac noticed Ruby's delicate hands, and as he gently stroked them, he said, "I'm more worried that your hand is hurt." He then kissed her hand gently, a warm gesture that surprised Ruby. She could hardly believe that this burly prince could have such tender moments. The situation felt awkward, and Ruby had to withdraw her hand, claiming that there was something in Isaac's glass. "It's just honeyed wine," Isaac said with a smile. "Can you try it?" Ruby, intrigued, took a sip of Isaac's wine and gulped it down in one go. Instantly, nausea hit her, and she tried to suppress it due to the strange scent. Isaac noticed her discomfort and chuckled, finding it cute. "You just need to pour a sufficient layer," he teased. Half believing, half doubting, Ruby took the new glass of wine and tried it. Sure enough, the flavour was completely different from Isaac's. "If you like a certain type of wine, just tell Radler," Isaac joked. "It's not that I can drink alcohol, I was just curious about what you were drinking." Ruby nodded but then shifted the conversation. "What did you do today?" Isaac shrugged. "Oh, just caught a few goblins. Nothing interesting." Ruby suddenly thought, if a man like Isaac met the lady, it would just be first love. He shouldn't lose his mind over it. It's simply first love. Taking this opportunity, she thought, she would tell the lady. Trusting someone too much, beyond a certain limit, becomes a double-edged sword. Seeing her silent for a while, Isaac spoke. "Are you still curious about something? You've been staring at me this whole time." Ruby hesitated, her faltering look quickly catching Isaac's attention. His eyes darkened. "Or do you have something you want to tell me?" Ruby fell silent, lost in her thoughts. "If I tell him everything here, will he believe me? He doesn't believe Freya, but will he believe me?" She was afraid of losing everything, afraid that everything would go back to how it was before. After a long hesitation, Ruby pushed those thoughts aside and said, "No, nothing's wrong. That's right, I heard people talking. Are you participating in the swordsmanship tournament this time?" "Why? You don't like it?" Isaac asked, concerned. "No, that's not what I meant," Ruby replied, smiling faintly. Isaac, using his knowledge, explained more about the tournament. "The things that will appear in the matches will be different from your friends, so you're even more worried," Ruby continued. "Of course, I know. You're the undefeated #1 swordsman." Isaac suddenly froze for a few seconds. "Will that hurt you?" "What?" Ruby asked, confused. "It's nothing," he quickly replied, changing the subject as if nothing had happened. Putting down his glass, Isaac asked Ruby to try to restrain herself a bit during the upcoming match. While witnessing the death of monsters would be difficult for her, Isaac admitted that he couldn't stop her from sitting in the stands. He added that he would try to end the match as quickly as possible. Ruby became bewildered. Why is he saying these things? Aren't all monsters like my friends? "I know that too," Isaac said gently, touching her hand. His voice was full of affection. "If I win this tournament again, if I crown you with the laurel wreath of victory, then no one will dare to mess with you anymore." Ruby was surprised. Is this the reason he's participating, despite the danger? Just for me? Suddenly, everything clicked. I understand now why he's been preventing me from interacting with monsters until now. When his comrades brought me to where the frost wolves were, I understand why he was so angry just now. If it wasn't a goblin, but a Pori, Ruby realized. I'm just afraid of getting hurt, but he's always worried about me. Ruby decided to tell Isaac about what happened today. Actually, I was with Miss Puana. She told me about my identity and then poured tea on herself. I hate myself for wanting to feel reassured by you again. And just now, in the water garden, the head maid also said similar things to the young lady, so I slapped her because of that. I'm sorry for making things bigger. Isaac interrupted her, looking like he had a headache. After a sigh, he asked, Ruby, tell me everything from the beginning to end. Ruby stammered, feeling embarrassed. Maybe I was too arrogant with Miss Puana, so she said I shouldn't be overconfident, and then she poured tea on herself. Ruby, you're still talking too fast, Isaac said gently. You don't need to pay attention to other things, just focus on yourself. To me, you're the most important person, so tell me what happened today. Tell me slowly. Ruby fell into the deepest darkness of her life. More than anyone, she understood how difficult it was to speak the truth at this moment. She was afraid the other person would get angry upon hearing it because she had developed the habit of speaking quickly. Isaac, Ruby whispered, if I'm truly the most important person to you, can you grant me one wish? There's no reason for me to refuse. Isaac chuckled softly. Ruby took a deep breath and spoke her true feelings. Please, don't hate me. Isaac's expression turned pale, and his lips pressed tightly together, as if in disbelief. He held Ruby's hand tightly. What is your wish? Everyone keeps telling me that your feelings are just a fleeting moment, that sooner or later you'll get tired of me, Ruby said, her voice trembling. Isaac's voice changed, filled with anger. Puana and the head maid made you believe that nonsense? How dare they say that? That's absurd. Ruby continued. I don't want to think that way either, but I don't know much about you. There are people who have been by your side for a long time, and they keep saying those things, so I'm starting to doubt your feelings for me. Isaac stood up in surprise. What do I have to do to make you feel certain? Then, to Ruby's shock, Isaac knelt before her. His voice was filled with conviction. If I give you everything I have, will you trust me then? Ruby could hardly believe her eyes. She stammered, That would cause a big problem. You don't have to go that far, just for me. Isaac laughed softly. Isn't it natural to stand up for your wife's honor? But if this causes conflict and internal strife between the families, I'll deal with it. Those who dare to harm you don't need to live. I can do anything to make you feel at ease, even just a little, Isaac added earnestly. Ruby felt a lump in her throat. So please, tell me, what do I have to do to make you stop crying? Ruby was truly touched by Isaac's gesture. It's my problem. Thanks to you, I can indulge in a dream-like happiness. I'm so afraid that dream will shatter. It's not because I look like this. I'm sorry. The crimson sunset, tinged with the autumn afternoon sun, bathed them in warmth. Ruby had never imagined that the sunset would shine on her. She had been abandoned by her own parents, a cursed soul unwelcome anywhere. Yet, the reason she hadn't died was probably because she lived in a world that constantly reminded her she had no value in living. Still, Ruby always yearned to live to the fullest, to prove her reason for existence, her destiny, even if it was a thorny path that tore her feet and stained them with blood. But being with Isaac filled Ruby's empty heart with hope. Ruby kissed Isaac's hand. Thank you for trusting me with your heart. Isaac wiped away the tears streaming down Ruby's cheeks. Of course, because I'm always on your side, Ruby wondered. This man before me, what does he like about me? Is he looking at me so earnestly and tenderly? What if I do something wrong? Will you still be on my side then? Isaac abruptly stood up. Then I don't mind becoming an accomplice. Husband and wife, working together. Having received the desired answer, a smile bloomed on Ruby's lips. What if it becomes a bad habit of mine? You can be a little meaner too. Isaac's expression softened. Is it really okay if things go on like this? I don't know why you don't have any doubts about me, but right now, at this very moment, I just want to focus on your gaze. I'll blind myself with the sweet illusions you have for me, so make me believe that miracles can still happen in this world. As they spoke, the trees stood bare under a blanket of white snow. Ellen, deep in thought by the window, watched the weak sunlight from outside, recalling what Freya had said. "I only talked about the things we used to play when we were little," Freya had said, "but I'm sure the lady understood something." She suddenly got angry and poured tea on me. What did she understand, Ruby thought, feeling confused. If we're friends, we can talk about anything. It's natural to believe what a friend says, but why do I feel like this suffocating fog surrounds me? What was Rebecca afraid of? There's nothing she's afraid of. Ruby couldn't understand why Freya had made excuses to her. If it were the Freya I know, she would have resolved everything smoothly and cheerfully. Something isn't right. This feeling of disharmony is like forcing mismatched gears together. Originally, Rebecca and Ellen's mother both shared an obsession with food, but there was something about their existence that gave off a dangerous aura. Despite their similarities, Ruby still couldn't understand their deep inner thoughts. The first time Ellen met Ruby, she didn't think much of it. If it weren't for Ruby being the daughter the Pope cherished, Ellen thought, I probably wouldn't have given her much attention. It was just sympathy and pity. I assumed Ruby would leave soon, but reality had dragged me into the darkest pit of my life. At this moment, Rattler appeared after a single call. Ellen, now frantic, asked him what brought him here so early in the morning. "I apologize. It's nothing else but, right now, the Duke." Before he could finish, the hallway became lively with the sound of Ellen's hurried footsteps. She rushed to the main hall, then stopped before Isaac and a familiar maid. Upon closer inspection, she realized it was Mara, and painful memories flooded back. When Ellen was young, she had heard her mother's screams. Marta had tried to stop her, fearing it would affect Ellen. She shouldn't have been born, Marta had said, and the words hit Ellen like a heavy blow. Let go of me," Ellen shouted. Marta looked at her as if silently telling her to leave immediately. "Madam, please calm down, you can't do this." "I said, let go!" Ellen screamed. The two continued to argue, and in the midst of it all, something unpleasant happened. Ellen tripped over the rug, causing her mother to lose her balance and fall backward. A scream echoed through the room as she hit her head on a nearby table, then fainted. Ellen trembled, calling out, "Mother! Mother!" But there was only a terrifying silence in response. Marta embraced Ellen tightly, her voice shaky. "I thought Madam's illness had improved. I was wrong." Finally, her mother woke up, her vacant eyes fixed on her daughter. "Ellen," Marta whispered, "if Madam truly loves Miss, then I beg Madam not to see Miss again." Ellen had been torn from her mother and taken away by Marta. The desperate cries were too late. "Mother, I'm sorry. I'm sorry." The door slowly closed behind them, and her mother's cries were no longer heard. As they walked, Marta comforted her. "Don't worry, Miss. Madam's just a little hurt. Even if I die, I will definitely protect you." Since childhood, Ellen had endured her mother's illness, with no one else to turn to but Marta. Marta had always been there for her. But now, seeing her kneeling before her, filled with fear, Ellen broke out in a cold sweat. "Marta, what is going on?" she asked, her voice trembling. Isaac, who was standing beside them, told her to make Marta confess. Marta repeatedly apologized, her voice full of distress. "I was just worried about Madam. I only mentioned her habits because she's the Duchess of Alta, and many people are watching. It's necessary to limit bad habits. I only said that..." But suddenly Madame got angry and slapped me. Ellen was petrified as a suffocating atmosphere filled the hall. Rebecca's strange actions were happening one after another, and this didn't seem like a coincidence. Had she been hiding this side of her? Isaac now questioned. "If what you say is true, does that mean Ruby lied? You told the master to leave and talked about first love. Weren't those your words?" Ellen noticed Isaac's unusual demeanor. He was no different from a wild beast hunting its prey. Ellen turned to question Marta. "Is that the truth?" No, it's not. Please believe me, miss." Marta sobbed continuously, making Ellen think it was just a minor emotional outburst. but Ellen had carefully noticed that after the commotion about running away, she had even asked Marta to keep an eye on Rhea. If it were Marta, she would understand her heart. Ellen believed she would do a good job no matter what the feelings were. She still hoped the relationship between the two would be good, with her simple and naive wish for her mother and Rhea to get along. Ellen had only mentioned that they had something in common. "Anyway, you've already admitted what you said, haven't you?" Isaac said, gripping his sword tightly. "I've heard enough." At that moment, Rattler intervened, bringing along a middle-aged man who wanted to speak with Isaac. Isaac nodded for him to proceed. The man introduced himself abruptly. "I'm the new gardener. Last night I went to check the greenhouse. The further I went, the colder it got. The temperature inside was very unusual. I heard Marta's voice calling Ruby. Out of curiosity, I hid behind a tree and eavesdropped on them. The situation seemed quite complicated. I clearly heard everything Marta said." The gardener paused, then continued. "I suspect there may be a curse on the masters in this castle, but being new here, I don't quite understand what's going on. It made me uneasy, as the conversation became tense. Back in the present, the middle-aged man revealed that Marta herself had said the former Duchess and the current Duchess would be cursed. She also made remarks about the Duchess clinging to her first love. This time, Isaac could no longer keep his calm demeanour. Even Ellen couldn't believe her ears. The gardener took out a familiar pair of glasses that Marta usually wore. "I picked these up after the Headed and Madam left. The reason I'm being so disrespectful is because the Headed statements weren't out of concern for Madam. I felt I had to tell the Duke and Duchess." Ellen took the glasses, which incriminated Marta, and felt fear. Marta screamed repeatedly, "Absolutely not! Absolutely not! Please believe me, miss!" The maid's tears streamed down her face as she tried to appeal to Ellen's heart. She pointed at the gardener and accused him. "He's the one lying to Miss and Master, not me!" After her wailing, a terrifying silence filled the room. Isaac waited for her to finish shouting before speaking. Such an impudent person could exist for so long. His eyes were bloodshot as he glared at Marta with immense resentment. Ellen felt very uncomfortable, knowing she was also responsible for this. Whatever the intention, it was because she had spoken without thinking. The guilt made her restless. If I hadn't mentioned Rhea, Marta wouldn't have gone this far. "I can't let Marta pay the price for my mistake," Ellen thought. But she knew she had to take responsibility. She turned around and ordered the servants, "Everyone, go inside." However, Isaac frowned and said irritably, "Whose orders are you following? They must see with their own eyes that if they dare act arrogantly towards the mistress of Alta, they will face the consequences." Ellen grabbed Isaac's sleeve, stopping him. "Listen to me. This is about Ruby and Mother. It's not something everyone should hear." She called out to the butler, Rattler, and all the servants went outside, leaving the two siblings to talk. Isaac was puzzled. It's not something everyone can hear, so how did she know? Is that why she acted so insolently? Ellen felt guilty and lowered her head, avoiding Isaac's gaze. Isaac raised his sword. "In that case, all the more reason to settle this quickly." Ellen froze, frightened, and shouted, "Wait!" Her next action made Isaac stop in his tracks. She stood in front of Marta, facing Isaac's merciless sword. Ellen wasn't fearless. She trembled as she pleaded with her brother, "Please, I beg you. Nanny is very important to me, you know that. Let me handle it this time." Isaac was stunned by Ellen's words and retorted indignantly, "What about Ruby? Ruby is simply my wife, is that what you mean? If you let her off, similar things will happen again, don't you know that?" Ellen cried out helplessly, I know." Then she added, "But what about you? The reason I always needed Marta by my side, before Mother died. You don't know anything." Ellen bit her lip, suppressing the painful emotions of the past. "Mother, she wanted to kill me." She struggled to cry out for help but didn't care anymore, continuing to shout, "The child, is it because of this child that the Duke said he couldn't come see me? I loved Mother so much. I tried so hard to understand her, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't do anything. Every time Mother did something that endangered my life, the one who was always ready to embrace and protect me was Marta. She was always there, ready to protect me. Isaac was shocked by this information. Mother? You knew Mother was sick. How could Ellen not have known? But the things Mother did that endangered you, why didn't you tell me? If you had told me, I could have done something to help you. Isaac questioned his sister. Ellen bit her lip, not wanting to reveal her emotions. How could I? How could I say it? If I told you, I would have to talk about Mother's illness. What if she really killed me? She clenched her fists. Would telling you have changed anything? Ellen thought, this is a harsh place for those with family blood. Even if you tried everything, you still wouldn't be able to see Father. I know, Isaac whispered. But every day you were busy with your studies because you were the heir. Ellen, you were like an extra person in the family. All the attention was focused on me. You were so busy, even when Mother was sick. She knew it very well. So she never came to you, only to me. Ellen's voice cracked. There were days when Mother was very gentle and kind, holding me in her arms, but there were days when she was scarier than a demon. What else could I do? Tears streamed down her cheeks as Ellen finally spoke her heart. Besides Marta, she had no one else. Marta, hearing her mistress's words, was moved to tears. Ellen tightly grasped the maid's hand and turned to her with determination. I won't let you kill her. The two left before Isaac's eyes, and he stood there frozen. How could he, as her brother, not understand her, not feel her pain? Isaac recalled a time when Ellen had a scratch on her cheek. Ellen, the wound on your cheek. Were you bullied at that time? Ellen seemed very calm as she replied, What? No, I just got hurt while playing with Mother. It's not serious. Don't worry, I'm fine now. Isaac clenched his sword in anger, then threw it hard on the ground. His little sister had once greeted him with a bright smile, but now, as her figure disappeared, loneliness enveloped Ellen. Under the dim moonlight, Isaac sat, embracing the torment in his heart. The door to Ellen's room slammed shut. She stood, looking out the window, the light casting a shadow on her solitary back. Marta stood awkwardly behind her and called, Miss? Ellen didn't turn around. She only coldly asked, The woman who loved me more than her own mother, why did you do that? Marta froze at the question. She wanted to explain, but her words faltered. I didn't want Miss to get hurt. Ellen's voice was sharp. Is that for me? If you really cared about me, no. If you cared about both me and Ruby. She clenched her fists and lowered her head.